Primarily, the key word is flexibility, both in terms of our processing and control surface. So the control surface is split up into 4 main sections. Firstly, our fader tiles. 24 faders are standard, 12 more up here. Our master section here with our automation controls, mute group, main fader, solo and talkback sections. Our channel control tile here. For our selected channel, we have control over our EQ, dynamics, aux sends and so on. And finally, our main touchscreen here. So this is the brightest touchscreen available in any live console, but we can use our brightness controls here to dim both the screen and surface controls down, and we can store those in our automation system per scene. So each tile has 5 different layers, each of which has 5 banks that we can control from here. And we can set up these layers independently for each tile. So using our layer bank manager here, we can simply drag and drop the channels and so on that we want to set up for each fader tile. I can also drag whole layers and banks down, so if I want to reset this to channels 1 to 12, simply drag that bank down and they snap back to the original channels. We have 192 processing paths available within the console, and these can be configured as either input channels, auxes, subgroups or masters. So the sum of all those buses types can be up to 192. 144 of those are full processing paths, so they have high and low pass filter, 4-band parametric EQ, gate, compressor, 2 insert points, all pass filter and delay. The remaining 48 channels are dry processing, so they just have the 2 insert points and the fader. So still useful for things like aux outputs with a graphic EQ inserted, or maybe a click track where you don't need EQ and dynamics. And what's quite neat is that we can reorder our processing blocks on a per channel basis. So for this specific channel, maybe I want my compressor before my EQ, or my delay at the beginning of the channel. I can simply drag and drop per channel to reorder the processing order. Once I've set that up, I can go to, for example, my EQ. I can use the touchscreen here to adjust the bands. This is a multi-touch touchscreen, so I can use it exactly like an iPad. I can pinch to control the cue. I can also use my small screen here, so for my selected channel, I get control here, either hardware controls, or I can use this as a touchscreen also. And we can display different things on each screen, so if I'm doing front of house sound monitors from one console, I might choose to have this on my aux end, so I can do my monitor mixing from here, and then my EQ and front of house functions from here. Likewise, I have full control over my gate and compressor. I can simply use the touchscreen to adjust things, control the knee of the compressor. We can change the attack, release and hold times of both the compressor and gate. We can use external filters in the sidechain and also specify where we route our sidechain from. Now, something unique to the SSL Live console is the all-pass filter. Now, this is typical for things like loudspeaker management systems, but this is the only live console with an all-pass filter built into every full processing channel. So this can be used on either inputs or aux buses or outputs. All processing types have the same processing. Now I can use this to either eliminate feedback at a specific frequency by inverting the phase. So an all-pass filter has a linear frequency response, gain response, but a variable phase. So this is phase versus frequency. So I can dial in a phase inversion at a specific frequency, or I can use it to widen the stereo image by applying some phase effects. So useful for things like in-ear monitor mixers, where I can create a stereo image, widen it, and then insert the vocal down the middle. Or if I have 2 microphones on a single source, so like a kick drum or snare drum or maybe a grand piano, and there are some phasing problems between the 2 microphones, I can dial in some phase correction using the all-pass filter. Similarly, we have delay available in all full processing paths. and we can measure this in either samples, seconds or milliseconds, or if we're aligning speakers, we can measure in meters or centimeters. We can simply drag this with fine control or use the scroll to insert larger amounts of delay, up to 2 seconds per processing path. Then we have our 2 insert points down here. So we can use either an external effects unit to route into that, or we can use our built-in effects rack. So this has 6 racks available, each of which has 16 slots. So up to 96 slots available, depending on the effects types used. So we have a wide range of effects available, single and multi-tap delay, various dynamics options, things like the SSL bus compressor, the listen mic compressor, all built in. Graphic EQ, 10-band parametric EQ, several types of choruses and flanges, phaser, reverbs, things like the VHD preamp from the studio consoles, and also various tools like the fixed point proactive spectrum analyzer, function generator, and so on. So this is our main channel view screen, and this essentially extends the fader tile channel strips. So I have my meters up here, my routing section here, so I can set up to 10 mute groups, which I can access from down here, up to 36 VCAs. I can route to my masters, my stems, which are our subgroups, and also to our auxes. Now, as I mentioned before, we can reorder our processing blocks, which kind of makes pre and post fader a little bit fuzzy because the fader could be anywhere in this processing chain. So we allow auxiliaries to be either pre-fader or post-all, and we can override that on a per channel basis if we wish. Likewise for stems. So stems are a mix between subgroups and auxes essentially. So we can create a subgroup simply by routing to a stem and setting it to unity gain. Or we can mix into it much like an aux, simply by choosing our feed level. And again, we can choose our stems by default to be either pre-fader, post-trim, post-insert A or B, post-fader or post-all. And again, we can override that on a per channel basis. These are some of the stage boxes we have on offer. So we have our 32 mic line in, 32 line out stage box here. We have 32 line in option and a 32 line out option. All of the stage boxes with inputs also have an optional mic split on the rear. We have our 32 AES input and output stage box, and these have sample rate converters on both the inputs and outputs. These connect to the console via MADI coax directly, or we can use our Blacklight 2 system. So this is a high density fibre carrying 256 channels bidirectionally at 96 kHz. So we can connect up to 8 stage boxes to this unit and then run a single fibre cable to our console, or a redundant pair of fibres if we want redundant connection. All of the stage boxes also feature parallel MADI outputs, so we can connect a second live console. So we then use a gain sharing system whereby one console, the master console, has control over the analog mic preamps, and the slave console compensates for any analog gain changes in the digital domain at the console end. We've had a lot of interest from hire companies, both in terms of the control surface, so they're freelance engineers who are used to working on different consoles, can feel pretty familiar with the console very quickly because there are so many different methods of accessing the functions, but also from a processing flexibility. So our 192 processing paths can be configured as either input channels or auxes or outputs. So depending on the size of the show that they're doing and the requirements for the show, then they can take just a single console and adapt it, configure it exactly how they wish.